Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Episode 26 after a bye week.
Yeah, we get bye weeks too.
We're allowed to take bye weeks whenever the hell we want, right, Sean?
Yeah, and I think we dealt with enough. Well, you dealt with Disney.
I dealt with vacation and kids and Disney, and you dealt with some illnesses.
I dealt with Uncle COVID and some other things.
Did you actually have COVID, or you just?
No, I just got tested. No, I just got tested.
Just
remember, it's not COVID. We're not allowed to say COVID. It's Uncle Vid.
Uncle Vid.
It's Uncle Vid.
Uncle Viddy.
It's Uncle Vid. I was hanging out with the boys. Uncle Vid was there, and he decided he wanted me to hang out.
Now, thanks to Eric, we switched to Monday nights, and so we're watching the football game. Wow. So we're going to be slightly distracted.
I was going to say, so if you hear us go, whoa, look at that, there's a reason.
Yep, absolutely.
Also, before we get into things, do remember, we've been saying this for weeks, guys. We are switching the format. It is NFL season. It is week 1. It's finally here.
Woo!
We're excited.
Yeah, week 1.
Got football back, and our show is going to go to probably about 95% football. So
98% with the kids' corner at the end.
That's why I said 95%. I figured we may throw random stuff in.
Oh, there'll probably be some randomness in there occasionally.
Truthfully.
What's our unofficial sponsor, Sean?
Stillhouse, America's finest. And me, who is kind of looking at this black whiskey, is wondering if it's actually not oil from the oil can.
I mean, by far the coolest.
Touchdown! I hate it.
I was going to say you're cheering for the Ravens?
No, I just wanted to do touchdown.
It's the first one.
It's the first one on our show.
That's true. First touchdown on our show.
It's the first one.
I was in Florida. I actually stopped at Walmart. They had their own liquor store outside of Walmart.
Isn't that great when you leave PA and you find a
cool.
Walmart, Costco?
Oh yeah, it was pretty cool. So we were in the Walmart. I stepped outside and went to the liquor part, and I found this can, which it just looks like a bottle of motor oil. Which I always joke that we're drinking motor oil sometimes on the show. So I thought, what better? And then I drank about half the can myself while on vacation. I brought the rest home. So I guess that what makes it black is it's roasted.
Did you have it in the freezer or anything?
I chilled it before.
Okay, I was going to say, it's definitely the can's cold.
Yeah.
But it is a can, so...
It's some sort of the process is done over coffee beans, but it doesn't really taste like coffee. So we're about to find out. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. He gave me the bigger glass, by the way.
Really? I don't think it's that bad. I kind of like it. Maybe I just got used to it after drinking it.
Maybe. Ooh. I'm out. Oh, man, that was disgusting. And I'm the one who drinks whiskey typically, not for weeks now, but...
Yeah, you're the typical whiskey drinker.
Yeah.
I don't think you've brought me around.
Ooh, that was... You know what? It didn't necessarily have a coffee taste. You know what it got me? Is it had the blend like it says... But it has like a licorice, the black licorice taste I got.
I don't taste that at all.
And I hate the black licorice. Ooh.
I could be wrong, but I don't taste it at all. But maybe that's just me being
Maybe it's just the oil that's in there.
So we're going to touch on a couple quick news points. I'm going to totally butcher this name.
Oh, yeah.
Maya Shaka. First black woman NFL referee. Congratulations. Welcome to the NFL.
As you guys know, we support anybody and everybody in their endeavors. And this is a big step.
Yeah, that's a big step. We had our first woman referee a couple years ago.
First woman Super Bowl referee last year.
Right. So this is big stuff.
This is big steps, and we appreciate every bit of it as the world gets better.
Absolutely, and I love it. So congratulations, Maya. I hope I didn't butcher your name too badly.
And then I'll step in and take another name since I could say it. It's Fitzmagic. I know he's in your division, so you're probably happy about this.
I'm actually not.
I like Fitzmagic.
I'm more scared of Heineke than I am of Fitz. Like, don't get me wrong.
Fitz in that beard.
Don't get me wrong. You know Fitz is going to have those 2 or 3 games a year where he just lights up the scoreboard.
And he may against your defense.
And then he just has a ton of games where he's just mediocre at best. When I think Heineke is just a consistent, solid player. And I think he's the future for Washington. I really do.
I think they're going to draft a quarterback.
You think so?
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out. But Heineke didn't really look too good once he took over. I think he scored a total of 3 points since he took over.
No, he had 1 touchdown, so it had to be at least 7.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought it was 13 when he got in the game.
I saw the 1 touchdown. That's why I know he had a touchdown.
Oh, he did the Logan Thomas.
Yes.
Huh? I should know that. Logan's on my fantasy team.
And the catch here, though, about the Washington football team, which, let me be clear, I hope at the end of this whole process of picking names, they end up sticking with the Washington football team. I absolutely love it.
I think that there's enough people who have embraced it now that it's just like, why change it?
Think about that. You just call yourself a football team.
And I love the abbreviation WFT. It's almost like a WWE type of thing.
I enjoy it. I understand they're in your division, they're a rival, but legit, the Washington football team is a team I could see myself, okay, I can get behind that a little bit.
With them being a rival, I hope that they just choose like the most ridiculously goofy name, and then I can pick on them some more. But I actually kind of like Washington football team. Yep. I thought it was hilarious when it first happened. Like, you guys couldn't even come up with a new name, and now it kind of works. So.
I'll be honest with you, it reminds me of soccer, where they have Manchester United, things like that, or the soccer club, the football club.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that. It has, once again, it sounds like a football team name. It sounds like a cool name that nobody else has.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you, but I do think they will come up with a name eventually.
Once again, I hope at the end of the day they decide Washington football team was the best option, and let's go that route and rebrand ourselves with that and just stick there.
So why haven't the Chiefs had to change their name?
Because they win too much and they have Patrick Mahomes.
I mean, there's a reason why. Whatever. I'm not getting into
people
that,
like them. If you remember, Dan Snyder is not that likable.
I think it was more just the overall name, right? Like the Redskins was like a negative derogatory name, right?
Correct. Just like supposedly the Cleveland Indians, which weren't getting forced to. They just made the decision to switch their name. Right. By the way, they made a bad choice.
Oh, I didn't even see what they did.
Cleveland Guardians.
Oh, Lord.
And the reason why is they kept the lettering and everything from the Indians and how Indy ends, Guardians. They kept, they just changed the beginning.
Okay.
But they kept basically everything the same.
I mean, it is what it is. But the Chiefs are like one of the last ones left, so you just think that should happen.
But they're not even getting brought up.
No, they're not.
They're not even getting mentioned on it. And I doubt they will. Once again, I go back to, I don't know about the Indians as much, but with the Redskins, you have an organization that has been basically slandered, called racist, the owner, by staff, by people. So what's he do? He fires a whole staff. He brings in Ron Rivera, who, great coach, don't get me wrong, but kind of fits an image you're trying to fix. Change the name. Takes away the Redskins because you're getting bashed by all your sponsors like Nike. Nike wasn't even going to produce their jerseys because of it. And Nike has a sponsorship with the NFL.
Right.
So, what are you going to do? I'm not going to make your jersey, yet I have a contract with the NFL to make your jersey.
Which is a breach of contract. But we're not going to get into that. Right. I don't know. I just think it's weird that the Chiefs have had no pressure whatsoever to change their name. But
people like them. People love Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is the face of the league at this point.
Yeah, I get it. Let's get into Week 1 overreactions. One that pains me significantly.
I feel like we forgot something on news.
No, that was all we had on news.
Okay. Oh well.
Well, I mean, there was the Jenkins contract, but we didn't. I didn't write it.
You mean Lattimore?
One of the guys.
One of those corners. One of those corner guys.
Yeah, one of the
out there in New Orleans.
In New Orleans. But yeah, I mean, we really don't have much for news, but we have a ton for overreactions.
I was just saying, well, bringing up New Orleans, I guess we can skip to New Orleans since we brought up Lattimore and their whole process.
We could. You're just throwing me out. So you want to skip to the second one, which was I got a little list here, so let's cross that out.
Are we going overboard with the way they crushed Green Bay, or is Green Bay really not Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers anymore? Is he a distraction?
As somebody who hates Aaron Rodgers,
but didn't you pick him as your Super Bowl winner?
With a burning passion.
Darren Waller over the middle.
I got extreme enjoyment out of watching him have some sort of misery on Sunday.
He definitely looked like he was in misery on the bench when they showed him.
Yeah.
Especially when they pulled him in and put Jordan Love in for him at a certain point.
Listen, week 1 is just a really weird week.
It always is. The first 4 weeks.
There's always a couple teams that just don't show up or show up significantly and then just flake out throughout the season. And remember, it was maybe 7 or 8 years ago when he had the, just like the RELAX. Remember that?
Yeah.
Like they were like 1-5 or something like that, and then they won a bunch of games, made the play. I'm pretty sure that's the year they won the Super Bowl.
Maybe that was a while ago. That would have been like 10 years ago.
It was a long time ago, but I'm just saying, like they have a ton of talent on the team. I don't see how they don't turn it around. Now on the flip side, I think New Orleans has a fantastic defense.
I was surprised. I didn't see that. I thought they were good. I didn't know they were that good.
I think they're that good. Like I think they added a couple more pieces and they look that good. And then you add to the fact that their running game is awesome with Kamara, right?
Well, of course, that was the expected.
Right, and then you take Jameis Winston, who's always been able to fling the ball around the field, but now you kind of put him into a system that's going to help him be successful. And by the way, he did have an interception. It was just called back due to roughing the passer.
So, real quick question with what you just said. Okay, so you said he's put in a system that's efficient for him. Okay, so that's Sean Payton. Which we all think. I think we all agree he's a pretty good offensive coach.
Pretty good, yeah.
If not in the upper echelon of it.
Correct.
Okay, so another pretty good offensive head coach is Bruce Arians. I've had him as an offensive coordinator, so I know him in that setup. I don't remember who was before Bruce in the Buccaneers system.
But Bruce isn't known for mistake-free football. He's never been known for mistake-free football. And I think that he just kind of let Winston go nuts, and that's when he had the 30 for 30 season.
30, but how many yards? He had like 5,000 yards.
He had an awesome season if you take the interception.
If you're looking at fantasy, if you're looking from a fantasy perspective.
But we know the guy's talented, right? Now you put him
with the first overall pick. Was he a first overall? He was definitely the first quarter. No, he was the first quarterback of that draft. I know that. I
don't know if he was first overall. But he's a talented guy, and I think he's set for a good year. And I think he's potentially an increase over. Wow, that's a lot of yellow on the field. I think
it was pretty obvious, that flag.
I mean, look, I think we all love Drew Brees, but I almost said Drew Bledsoe for a second.
Ooh.
I think we all love Drew Brees, but like the last couple of years of Drew Brees wasn't so good.
No.
And I think that
you gotta throw the deep ball.
Having Winston in there, I think is an improvement for the Saints. As long as he can keep his mistake-free football.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
and I think Sean Payton is a great guy to coach to that.
But I think you play that game 10 times over and we have a different result.
What
9 out of 10 times there. I think that Green Bay probably doesn't lay a dud like that.
So what was my one thing I said about Patrick Mahomes since day one is he was perfectly matched up with a great coach to fit him. And that happens with players when you find the right coach that works.
Oh, yeah.
I have a feeling for Jameis Winston, putting him with Sean Payton. I have a feeling, as good as Drew Brees was, and Drew Brees was good with the Chargers before he moved on to New Orleans, so don't just give Sean Payton all the credit there. But I do think Sean Payton has a way with quarterbacks and a way with offenses. So putting Jameis Winston, who has talent, just like the Steelers, taking on, Dwayne Haskins, and may revitalize his career eventually. Same idea with Jameis Winston.
Except for Jameis Winston actually had some real success in the NFL. I mean...
yes and no.
He showed his talent when Haskins really didn't show much in the NFL.
Haskins never got a real off chance, and that's during the Redskin days. He never really got a real chance. You have an owner who wants you and a coach who's going to play you but doesn't want you and doesn't coach you, it's kind of hard. It goes back... me and you talk about this all the time. It goes back to... People don't give them enough credit, even though they get paid a lot. But the coaches really do matter. They really do at the end of the day. The schemes,
absolutely,
the mentality, way you coach somebody, it really does make a difference.
100%.
By the way, Adam's Family 2 looks pretty good.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
We told you guys, this is live. We're watching football behind you. So
there's a lot of good movies coming out. I'm excited.
Oh, Marvel has one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the one we saw in theaters, we never got to do a recap of. I thought it was really good, too.
Which one?
The Good Guy or whatever.
Oh, we didn't do a recap of that. See, guys, we told you it's not all football.
Not all football, but we should do a recap of that when maybe there's a slower NFL week, because I thought that was a really funny movie.
Yeah, we could definitely do that. I thought it was hilarious. But.
So we're actually agreeing that both of us agree that Winston's good for the Saints. The Saints look really good, but then the Packers just had an awful.
The Packers are going to be better this year than that.
Yeah, I mean, they might not be NFC Championship good, but they're good.
So here's my thought. I think the Packers, after what we saw with the Vikings, the Bears, and their own division, the Packers are probably still the best team in that division.
Oh,
even after seeing this.
I mean, that's probably the worst division in football.
Well, after seeing a dud, you have to start questioning how good they actually are. But that being said, I feel like the Saints, I was honestly counting them to be towards the bottom of their division. Not the bottom. I think the Falcons are the worst in their division.
I kind of was too. I was kind of expecting them to be the have an off year, especially Michael Thomas being out for a while.
I thought Kamara was their only option.
But now after seeing that, I'm reconsidering my thoughts on the Saints.
I don't know if they passed the Bucks in the division. The Bucks there's too much talent.
They beat the Bucks both times last year with Drew Brees.
Yeah, but they lost in the playoffs with Drew Brees as well.
That's true.
Nonetheless, there's just so much talent on the Bucks that I can't necessarily, in my heart, say, yeah, you're going to go and beat Brady with all that talent around him. Yeah. I can't.
Your defense is going to have to pitch great games.
Yes, and your defense actually was decent against them and still got blown up.
We're going to get to that.
I know. I get it.
Eagles, good, or are Falcons really bad?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think the Eagles are better than we thought they were, because of all the crappy offseason they had. And I think the Falcons are really just bad.
Could I don't know. When I was watching that game, Jalen Hurts looked really good. I'm not going to lie.
Devontae Smith looked really good, his receiver.
As a Cowboys fan, it kind of pains me to think that they're going to actually have a somewhat decent team this year. I still don't think they're on the same level as my team. We'll find out in 2 weeks.
I think your team has more firepower offensively.
Which, by the way, two dads drinking 2 weeks. We're going to have to switch the day probably. Cowboys play Monday Night Football.
Oh, come on.
I'm going to watch it with Tony.
We'll
have to figure that out. We'll figure something out.
I could be a referee. I could always sit in the middle. That may be fun.
Oh, Lord. But I like the Falcons have the needle on the Falcons have been going down and down and down every year.
Yeah, gradually every year.
They lost one of their most talented weapons.
Was the most talented weapon.
I mean,
Calvin Ridley's up there now.
Ridley's up there. And then they got this new talent that they barely could get the ball to at all.
Which one? Pitts, yeah.
And Pitts. So I sit there and kind of scratch my head, but I think that there's our feed going bad again. I think that the Falcons are probably potentially worst team of the NFL bad.
There was so many ups and downs in the league this year, and this week, not this year, but this week, and they just reminded me so much of the rest of them, like the Jets in their game against Carolina.
Yeah.
Carolina took a big lead off the early, and then it gradually got close again. Don't get me wrong, the Falcons-Eagle game didn't get close at all, but it just too early.
I feel like the Jets had a lot going on. They lost their tackle real early on in that game.
Yeah, that sucks. Becton.
Yeah.
That sucks.
I mean, you could tell, which we're going to get into rookie quarterbacks. Took them a little while to settle in, but
they did though.
The Falcons were really bad. And kudos to the Eagles. You have to you have to play who's in front of you, and they came out and they played them well, and they dropped 32 on them against their 6 points they let up.
Here's the reason why I sit there and say I think the Eagles are better than we gave them credit for in the preseason, in offseason, the whole deal. is because, okay, so everything in week 1 is eye test.
Yeah.
We all know how sports teams work. You should beat, and I mean solidly beat, the teams you should beat, right. And then you have a fight against the teams that are your what-ifs or your losses. They solidly beat a team they should beat.
I mean, I literally thought going into the season they were a 4 or 5 win team. They now have made me reconsider that to be like, even if they're not a good team, they're at least an average team.
I think your division, after what you guys dealt with last year as a division, is probably the most up-and-coming division after seeing both them. And I know the Redskins lost, but I still... Washington football team. I know they lost, but at the end of the day, I still know that defense that they have is going to end up being phenomenal.
So I've done a little research. I start doing my research coming into the season with my gambling and stuff. I like to kind of dig in and see. And, everybody was raving about the Washington football team defense.
Yeah.
But if you look at the teams that they actually, shut down, really shut down, it was teams with Andy Dalton at quarterback. It was teams with a rookie Jalen Hurts at quarterback. It was teams with, let's just call a spade. Danny Dimes is not throwing dimes, right? It was teams. That was 6 wins, or I think they lost one of those games. That was 5 of their wins last year, and that was the majority. They also played a couple rookie quarterbacks last year. They really didn't shut down anybody worthwhile. I'm not that sold on. I think they have the best defensive line in football. Yeah. Although the Browns are getting up there with throwing Clowney in the mix. But outside of that, I think there's a lot of holes in that defense.
Where do you put the Steelers on that one? Since we didn't even rush guys this week and we were killing Josh Allen.
Oh, no. I think the Steelers have a much better defense than Washington.
So I'm just saying with that.
I just think that Washington's defense is overrated. That's all I'm saying. After I dug in and looked at the stats, they really only shut down bad quarterbacks, which is what you're supposed to do as a football team.
Once again, that goes back to my eye test. You solidly beat a team you should beat.
Right.
That was my eye test.
Yeah, so I we'll see. I think that Justin Herbert flung the ball all over week 1.
Yeah.
I'm not too sold on Washington being the stellar defense that everybody thinks that they are.
Maybe not.
So I'm going to lean with... I think you're right, and I hate to agree with you. I really do. I hate to agree with you this much, but I think that...
We don't realize we agree with each other until we put it on tape, and then we're like, oh, wait.
I think the Eagles were better than we thought, but the Falcons were bad. I think it was a little bit of both.
Yeah. Okay. And I don't even know why the Falcons are so bad. They honestly... They lost Julio, okay.
Matt Ryan had 148 yards passing.
It has to be the coaching and the way that he's changing the system. It has to be. Because that's the only thing that really changed. And don't get me wrong, he's a running head coach. He was the Titans' old offensive coordinator who dictated the Derrick Henry 2,000-yard seasons and bases his offense off of the run. I don't know if you could do as much as I respect Mike Davis and I think he's a decent commodity. I don't know if you could do what you did with Derrick Henry with Mike Davis.
Yeah, and Cordell Patterson.
And Cordell and Wayne Gallman.
Right, who didn't get any carries.
Right.
Falcons were bad. Maybe they're one of those week 1 blunders and they just didn't show up for a week and they're getting used to a new coach. Lord knows my team had trouble getting used to a new coaching scheme last year.
Once again, eye test. When I look at it from an eye test, they don't pass the eye test.
An NFL team should score more than 6 points in a football game. It doesn't matter who you're facing.
So, for you guys, you'll hear me say this a lot throughout the season. I do this with fantasy football. I do this with real football, with betting. Everything is about the eye test when it's early in the season, the first 1-2 weeks. First 4 weeks is when I start to really learn, okay, this is somebody I'm interested in, or for fantasy reasons. Or for NFL reasons, this is somebody to pay attention to, because it's all eye test. It's all optical. If you're actually going to be that good or not, there's no guarantees that week 1 you went out here and had this great week that you're going to do that every week.
So speaking of eye test, the Brownies look pretty good.
They looked good at the end of last year, most of last year, dude.
I'm not going to lie. You kind of put me on the spot Sunday morning. You said, hey, we're going to start doing an Ian's betting pick of the week. Which, again, week 1 is a really tough week to bet on, just hands down. And don't get me wrong, I had plenty of bets out there, and I won some, I lost some. And if Patrick Mahomes can complete a pass on a 2-point conversion, I probably pulled that bet off. However, I thought the Browns did really well. They jumped out real quick with confidence, got to lead. But I feel like the Chiefs always do it. They always fall behind, and then they're just like playing with the team, and then they come back. So I wasn't really nervous at all.
Honestly, I feel like the Chiefs have the biggest on-off switch in the league, and they can do it whenever they want.
How many times have we seen that? They've been down 3 scores, and then Pat Mahomes is like, hold my beer.
Yeah,
you know, like,
and that was the Super Bowl. I feel like everybody in the Super Bowl was waiting for that moment, and that was the one moment you didn't see it happen.
Right.
But everybody was in there like. But
the previous year, it happened every single game throughout the whole playoffs.
Oh, yeah, whenever they wanted to. Whenever.
Yeah. I mean, they were down 3 scores like 3 times in the playoffs, and just over and over again. Truthfully,
watched a little bit of that game. And I can tell you right now, the Chiefs' new offensive line is massive. They are big. I knew they were good. I didn't know how big these guys were that they brought in.
About the Chiefs, can Andy Reid please stop drafting people at the running back position with the name Williams?
Is it confusing you?
It's really confusing, and I thought it was the same Williams from last year.
He's on the Bears
his
now.
Number. He's on the Bears, rocking number 8 now, and I'm just like, what is going on? Which, by the way, he looked really good for the Bears.
By the way, I learned all this on Madden, so
yeah, I did. I've played 1 game of Madden all year so far. I thought the Browns did well. What happened? What I thought was going to happened. The Chiefs won.
Yeah,
it
just didn't cover.
They just didn't cover.
They didn't cover,
but they could have covered.
But the Brownies look good and lost.
The Browns look good though. We talked about all the divisions going into the year, and when we talked about your division, we were both clear cut on the Steelers bandwagon.
Well, I changed. Remember, I wasn't at first, and you kind of. Listening to what I saw in the preseason and things like that, and listening to you about them, if you remember, I kind of okay, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. And don't get me wrong, actually, after week 1, and we'll get to this later, I'm still good with my Steelers.
I still think the Steelers will win the division, but if any team's going to give them a run for their money, it's the Brownies.
Yeah, I mean, the Ravens have been through two. Look, well, there it is. Torn ACL, Achilles, torn ACL. You guys can't see it.
Right,
it says LJ Fort, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards. Who was the other one? Marcus
Peters, yeah.
They're getting too many injuries.
They just had an offensive lineman pull off the field too. So
too many injuries for them. Their running backs end up being Lamar Jackson, and somebody, I think me and you were talking about this. He's going to take too many hits. He's eventually going to crumble.
Yeah. I mean, I think he did crumble last year. I mean, we saw that Lamar just can't handle an actual passing attack or anything. So I think it's down to the Browns and Steelers or who's going to win your division. And I would not be shocked now if I saw the Browns win the division. I think they had the best or the second best week 1 loss out of any team.
Yeah,
they went toe-to-toe with arguably the best team in football.
I know you're number 2, but...
I mean, there's 2 teams that went toe-to-toe with the top 2 teams in football, and they both did really well. So
I can agree, and I do think the Browns... if my selection would have been the Browns, off the basis that they were winning the game majority of the game, until the end.
Did you see that number 10 dude that they got?
You were talking about him earlier, but no.
I'm gonna have to. Maybe I probably shouldn't be talking about it because I'm hoping to see it in fantasy. But Waller just dropped a big pass. He was really fast, and they were putting him into bubble screens and reverses, and it's like he's their gadget guy, and he's really fast. So
maybe that's their next wrinkle. Last year they went pretty much strictly all run.
Yeah.
Now we throw some gadget plays in there.
I like that. I liked what I saw. So Brownies, good job, Brownies.
I'll give them credit.
Hey, you know who else we got to give credit to? Those Arizona Cardinals, man.
Woo.
That NFC West. Can we just say it's the best? It's hands down the best division in football.
Stacked. What, you got Rams, Cardinals, 49ers, and Seahawks.
And look, I know...
What?
I know that Motor City Dan brought his team back at the end there, but that was a blowout. It was 41-17.
That was still, yes.
I mean, that was a blowout.
That was a blowout. You had Trey Lance come in and get the first touchdown on a 5-yard pass. You had Jimmy Garoppolo for 317 yards and I think 4 touchdowns.
Jimmy G looked good.
Oh, the whole team looked good.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened at the end. I didn't catch the whole game because it was on Red Zone and other channels.
They had some running back I'd never heard of.
He stepped in for Mostert.
Which, by the way, Mostert got hurt again.
Out for 8 weeks.
Thank God I didn't keep his ass. Jesus
Christ. I don't even know who picked him up in the league.
But the Cardinals look really good. And the thing is I thought A.J. Green was going to be a really big wrinkle to their offense.
Yeah.
I think that Kirk guy.
No, Christian Kirk. There was another guy. There was Rondell Moore.
Took a huge step in the offseason. I mean, he looks awesome.
Yeah, Rondell Moore. Hopkins was the number one receiver guy.
Hopkins had this one touchdown where he went out and did like a 5-yard comeback, and then he just did the spin move and just had two players just like looking at each other like, what the hell just happened? And he ducked between them and got the touchdown, you know?
So, who's another quarterback that I'm high on? Super high.
Yeah.
How was his week?
He had a good week. With 5 touchdowns?
5 touchdowns?
4 passing, 1 rushing.
Him,
Jameis. But who's the number 1 quarterback?
What, this week?
Yeah.
Was it your guy?
Yeah.
I figured we'd get to that later, but
we'll get to that later. Cardinals, they did awesome. I don't think we need to talk about it. Titans just didn't show up.
I will point out that the Cards won though.
Yeah, well, no, you gotta win. You gotta get to that. I don't know. I think the Titans were just another one of them teams that just didn't show up for a week. Is Derrick Henry finished? There's a lot of things people were talking about, which I draft in our one league, our first auction league. Our first auction league we've ever done together.
Yeah.
I paid big money
for Derrick
Henry and Ezekiel Elliott, and they both put up under 10 points. So not a good start. Even though I had a good fantasy week, that particular start from those two, not very good. Let's talk about the Lions comeback because we touched on it real quick.
Motor City Dan,
his team didn't give up.
Yeah.
I think the Lions have been known for just quitting.
No, they definitely didn't.
They did not quit. And you got to give them credit for that. And I have to say, Jared Goff looked good.
I didn't catch enough of the game, but I know based off numbers. Yeah.
We knew he loves his tight ends. And Hawkinson looked really good. I think he threw for like almost 400 yards.
Did he?
Yeah, he had a really good game.
I almost want to look this up just because there's a person.
I was watching a lot of it. It was on Red Zone, and I was watching Red Zone the whole day.
When you put up 48 points and then somebody else puts up 31, it's going to be on Red Zone a lot.
Right. It was on Red Zone quite a bit, especially once the comeback started happening. And they were down, I think, 41-17 to the 2-minute warning. And brought it back to an 8-point game. Which, by the way...
41-33 was the final. So, an 8-point game.
Yeah. By the way, you know I'm a big conspiracy theorist sometimes. But you know what the line was going into the week?
No, what?
It was the Niners -8. The Lions pushed, dude. How did that happen?
So let's look at this. So he was Jared Goff, 38 of 57, 338 yards, 3 touchdowns to 1 pick. Pretty good line.
It's equivalent to what Matt Stafford did.
Number 1 receiver, 10 targets was T.J. Hawkinson. 8 receptions, 97 yards, 1 touchdown. I want to check one person. St. Brown, who I talked about.
He was hitting this other dude.
Benson has 6 targets. DeAndre Swift
had
11.
Dude. That was the guy who was going too late in the game.
7 for 3 receptions, only 12 yards though.
Well, the 3 receptions must have been all in one drive because he was like legit going after that.
He did get a touchdown though out of those 3 receptions.
He did get a touchdown.
But yeah, DeAndre Swift, the running back, got 8 receptions on 11 targets.
My question to you then is the Stafford trade really that good for the Rams? Because
are we making our way into the Rams right now?
I think we have to because I need to talk about this.
Yes.
The Goff. I could make the argument that Goff faced a better team with less weapons and put up similar numbers.
That's great, but with that offense, he wasn't able to do it with that offense in the past. And Stafford went in there this week 1 and looked absolutely lights out.
I mean, he looked good. He looked smooth.
He looked smooth. He looked like he worked well in that offense. He looked that looked like that fit. Remember the eye test thing we talked about? That eye test, that passed.
Stafford's got the deep ball that Goff doesn't have.
Correct. The only question I have for Stafford and the Rams, because I remember, I'm pretty sure I picked them for the Super Bowl. The only question I have is, you're in the toughest division.
That's
literally every one of those teams I could sit there and picture in the playoffs and picture progressing.
And I will tell you right now, I don't know if you watched all of that game last night.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. I will tell you right now, Stafford had 3 deep balls he hit?
That's the one. They showed them all on TV, yes.
And 3, out of the 3, 2 of them were legit wide open.
Yeah.
Nobody within 20 yards of those guys.
Because nobody was expecting a rollout throw.
It doesn't matter. That was just ugly defense by the Bears. So I saw enough from Stafford to say that okay, he's going to be good, but I actually saw more that made me think less of the Bears defense than what made me think good of.
And truthfully, of all defense that should know Stafford, the Bears are one of them.
But it wasn't just Stafford. I mean, you got to cover guys. You got you can't just let them wide open. Ooh, David Carr just took a hit.
Derek.
I always mess that up. Derek Carr. But anyways, I'm thinking the Lions. I mean, if Goff keeps playing that way, I think the Lions won that trade. And you're gonna think I'm crazy, but you gotta remember they got 2 first-round draft picks. I don't think that's 2 first-round draft pick value that the Rams are getting right there. So that's my overreaction. We're doing overreactions right now. That's my overreaction. Round 1 or first rookie quarterbacks, the first-round quarterbacks. What were your thoughts on the rookie quarterbacks?
Overall, impressed, like we said in the preseason. Overall, as a whole,
Zach Wilson got rocked all game. That
he
dude
did, but you see his stat line.
I didn't see the stat line, but
still had a pretty good number.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he's bad. I just think that the kid was getting rocked. He was getting lit up every play.
He was 60+% completion. He was 280 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. Dude had to get, for a first-time guy going into an organization that's kind of been beat up for the most part. And they also took, what was it, a 17-0 deficit at the beginning, or 19, something like that? They came back, 19-14, it finished.
Yeah, they definitely made a little run there at the end. I
was impressed. Is the best way to say it with him. Yes, he got rocked, but you're also playing a defense that is pretty good at rushing the quarterback.
Yeah.
I think you picked him up in free agency for fantasy.
I did, and it was a good move for me.
Right, I'm pretty sure.
Considering my defense got negative points, it was a good move for me.
Nonetheless, I like Justin Fields as well. He's another one, but Zach Wilson.
I mean, Fields didn't get on the field that much.
But when he did,
he looked good. Same thing with the 49ers quarterback when he got on the field.
Trey Lance, when he got on the field, he looked good.
Mac Jones? I thought Mac Jones had the best performance.
You know what I appreciated about Mac Jones? So they lost.
They did.
The Patriots. They lost to the Dolphins, which I don't know if you say that was expected or you don't, because it's kind of close call. The Patriots always win. The Dolphins are on the upcoming. And it was a close game.
Right.
What was it, 1 point, I think, game?
Yes, it was 17-16. Was the final score.
Nonetheless, Mac Jones, I appreciated that after the game, he came out and he took the loss on his shoulders. He didn't blame anybody else. He said, that's my bad, and let's move on.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. That's a leader. That's a guy that...
He said I got to play better.
Yep.
You know? And I like that, although I thought he played really well. He hit one wheel route to James White. It was just beautiful touch. I mean, the kid's got talent. He's got talent.
Once again, all 5 of those guys, I think, are going to be... It's hard because you're saying 5 quarterbacks in the same draft are going to come out and be great quarterbacks.
So far?
Somebody has to fail,
so far, it kind of looks like that.
But somebody has to fail out of 5, right?
I don't know.
Jeez, if not, this may end up being the greatest rookie quarterback class we've seen.
I think that if you go back over the last 10 years or so, these quarterbacks are coming out at a much more successful rate. Like the clip, it used to be a number 1 overall quarterback was at best a 50-50 shot. I think it's getting more like 80% shot. If you get in the first round, you're at least going to have an average Jared Goff-esque quarterback. I
get it.
But you weren't guaranteed that 20 30 years ago, right? Yeah. So I think that the scouts just kind of know what to look for these days, and the colleges are prepping these guys a lot better. And I mean, you even got like 4th round guys like Dak Prescott doing great. I mean, the quarterbacks is just a much easier transition now than it used to be.
So this is going to be the fun one. Trevor Lawrence.
I personally thought he looked the worst out of all the quarterbacks.
So he put up 385 yards, 3 touchdowns to his 3 picks. On a horrible, don't get me wrong, his Jaguars are horrible, but the team he was playing against, the Texans, we thought were going to be horrible.
Tyrod looked good.
Tyrod always is consistent. Once again, that's another guy that he's never going to pass like superstar status, but he's always going to be efficient. He's always going to just be there.
Probably the most underrated quarterback in the National Football.
My question I have with that is the Jaguars' defense. I know we're talking about quarterbacks, but is their defense just that bad?
Well, they did trade away like every legit good player they had on defense for
That's true.
3 years in a
I think
row.
they still have Miles Jack, though.
They do still have Miles Jack. But yeah.
One guy's not going to win here.
No, one guy's not going to win you football games. You can't have 3 turnovers, though. You know, like you
Once again, first game quarterback, and honestly, you know what he reminded me of? Remember Peyton Manning's rookie year?
Oh, don't go there.
Oh, I'm going there.
Oh, come on. I'm telling you, he's like, I'm sticking with what I said during the Ohio State game when Justin Fields balled out. And I said Justin Fields is the better quarterback of the two. And I'm sticking to that, you know, and he got drafted the second latest out of all the quarterbacks in the first round.
I think Trevor Lawrence is going to end up being the most talented quarterback in that draft. I do think he is walking into a buzzsaw because he has Urban, who's a rookie coached college before. Don't know if college works. It's never work. It doesn't typically work in the NFL.
Sometimes it does. Pete Carroll.
Okay, for
Jimmy
every
Johnson.
one you could tell me of those, I could probably tell you 6 the other way.
Maybe 10.
So let's just be real here. It's not that is by far not typical. That being said, he reminded me as a gunslinger, as a passing guy, of somebody who may follow the mold of a Peyton Manning.
Okay.
That's kind of eye test once again.
The guy's got to cut his hair. I can't take him seriously as a quarterback until he cuts his hair.
You don't want the surfer, bro? He's in Jacksonville.
That's why I love it even more that Aaron Rodgers had a bad game. Because he has that stupid long ponytail thing going on now. He deserves it. First coach fired, Sean. What's your guess here? Week 1 of the season. We saw a lot of bad yesterday.
Oh, jeez. It's so early. So early. And I honestly... I don't see any of them right off the bat that fast.
I got one.
Go ahead.
I got one for sure that I think is first coach fired. I think Mike Zimmer is going to be first coach fired.
Yeah, I guess so. I didn't even think about that with the Viking game.
How long can you just put up with mediocrity?
Yeah.
Like, he's so mediocre. And I like Mike Zimmer as a defensive coordinator. And he's had some good years as a head coach, but that team, he's lost that team. Like, they're done for.
Sorry, I'm going through the list here, and that I would have to probably go that route just because when I go through the list of teams, I can't necessarily...
I mean, a lot of the bad yesterday was, like, newer coaches, right?
Yeah, and I'm not... You mean, after one game, I'm not going to make that kind of reaction. And, like, right here, I can go this route and say about the Giants, the Giants, but I like Joe Judge, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think they really like Joe Judge in New York.
And I do, too. I think he kind of...
I think the Giants have screwed that franchise over for a couple of years of bad drafting and all that.
Yeah, and it's just restructuring a team at this point. You have some weapons there. You have a coach who proved last year, okay, there's potential. You got to finish it, though.
Yeah, I think that, it's got to be Mike Zimmer right now. It's got to be.
Yeah, that's about...
He's the only one. Because, I mean, even the Falcons had a really bad game, but it's a brand new coach. You're not going to fire that guy.
And he's changing his system. He runs a running system. The Falcons aren't a running team.
Right. And he doesn't really have a stud running back either, so...
Yeah, these both have new coaches, so neither one of their coaches...
We're agreeing way too much on this. Trevor Lawrence is the only thing we really disagreed on. You know that, right?
Yeah, it's just the potential we see. I mean, and I know you don't like Zach Thomas here for the Bengals, but he just beat the Vikings.
He played to tie the game.
Right.
He definitely played to tie that game. He got lucky that they won that game.
So, yeah, I have to stick with Zimmer as well. He seems like the guy who would be on a chopping block.
Quickly, how'd your fantasy teams do this weekend?
1-1. You?
One. How many leagues? I think you were in more leagues than that.
No, I'm only in 2.
Oh, really? Well, I'm in 4 leagues. I don't know how that happened. Actually, I can tell you how that happened. So that happened because we had our main league, which is, and I have Tony's main league.
Yeah.
So those were going to be my 2 leagues. And then Dave is no longer in our league.
Yeah.
So I felt bad. I wanted to get in a league with Dave. So we got into a league with Dave. And then you and I did the league where we got to with our first experience with the auction, which I had a lot of fun with.
That was great.
As of right now, I'm scheduled to win 3 out of my 4 games.
All right, nice.
With completely dominating wins in the 2 main leagues, so I'm pretty happy with that. Of course, I'm probably set up to have the best season in Tony's league because he runs 2 quarterbacks, and I have Russ and Kyle.
Right.
I mean, I could just not try in that league, and I'm going to make the playoffs, right? As long as those 2 stay healthy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, really good week. I made a couple bad errors, but I didn't really.
Shark's on
it didn't hurt me. Yeah, Shark was on my bench, and I chose the Buffalo running back to get me Singletary to get me. I thought to get at least a touchdown.
And you beat the defending champion in the league.
I did. I smoked the defending champion, Jake. Ooh. I'm getting that belt back, boy.
Oh, jeez.
Getting that belt back. Although the guy
seeing eye test eearly.
The guy that we gave shit to during the draft that drafted all receivers had the most points.
I know. I saw that.
Go figure, right? Anytime we give shit to somebody, they magically have a great team. We give shit to Massimo, he has a great team.
Dude,
we give shit to Chill Mahomes, he has a great team. You know?
My best player was, and thank you, my best player this week was Tyreek Hill, so.
48 points?
48 points, yeah.
Unreal.
Yep. So 197 receiving yards. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. CD would have probably been right there
if he didn't drop the ball.
Yeah, he would have caught his balls. Okay, let's get into our teams. You're a Steelers fan. I'm a Cowboys fan. Your team won. I'll let you have the floor first. What was your reaction to your game?
So I'm going to use a grading scale here.
Okay.
Because the Steelers were 2 different teams in 2 halves. So the defense as a whole deserves an A. From point A of the game to the end of the game. They deserve an A. And remember, when you talk defense, you include special teams typically with your defense.
Which they made that block punt.
They made that block, returned it in for the touchdown. But the defense itself, like TJ Watt, he didn't practice all preseason. He came in 2 sacks, forced fumble, 6 rushes, and there was 6 offensive holding calls against our line. 3 of them were against Watt. And they probably could have called 8 of them against them.
Does that surprise you, though?
No, guys like that, they just always come out. The only thing I can hope for is, unlike his brother JJ, TJ is not injury prone like JJ is. That's the only thing. Right, that's the only thing I can hope for. Because also, throw that in there, we also did re-sign TJ for a 4-year extension. Highest paid defensive player ever.
They had to.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
And they have Minka next year.
Okay, so your defense gets an A.
Yes, they get an A for the whole game. No.
I mean, you held one of the highest scoring teams in the league to 13 points.
Correct.
I don't see how you don't give them
16,
an A.
by the way. But they got a field goal.
Oh, did they get a field goal at the end? Okay.
Nonetheless, 16 points against the Buffalo Bills, who were incredible last year on offense. And their quarterback, who supposedly was this next great quarterback, looked like a rookie quarterback against us, is the best way to say it. He was getting hit so often.
Oh, I was having so much fun giving Dave shit. Allen got his big contract, and now looks like he's gonna just take that money to the bank.
So here's where the questionable comes in. So the offense, if I was going by first half, I'm giving the offense a D plus C minus.
Didn't they score 0 points in the first half?
Correct.
You're still giving them a C?
Yeah, because there was potential. You know how you could see things?
Yeah.
There's potential. And there wasn't turnovers. There wasn't, there wasn't negative. So you had to kind of take that good with the bad. And I also know they have a new offensive coordinator. They're changing the offensive system. They're kind of doing a run-pass option, which I never expected would work with Ben. Just because that's not necessarily something he's ready to do with the movement that comes with that. However, second half, Ben looked like Ben again.
Like Ben last year or Ben 5 years
Ben,
ago?
like not last year, the year before his injury.
Okay.
Ben looked like Ben, and he was actually moving out of the pocket.
I saw him run for like 8 yards or something at one point.
Don't get me wrong. He was definitely old man Ben. When he did take a hit, he kind of definitely was old man Ben.
There, yeah.
But he looked like a guy who, like John Elway, towards the end of his career, can make moves and still make plays, is what he looked like.
Okay.
Only bigger, obviously. He's massively bigger. Nonetheless, so the offense, I give a B+ in the second half.
Okay, so overall, like a C grade for your offense?
For my offense, C+, B-, somewhere in that ballpark.
Okay.
Overall, as a team effort, B+.
Okay, I got a couple questions. I did not get to see a whole lot of the game. Okay, so I got to see. I was watching, for those of you, I was watching Red Zone.
And obviously not a lot of points scored, so you're not.
My son was a little under the weather, so my mom didn't want to risk it, so I didn't have to. I wasn't forced to watch the Steeler game.
Yeah.
Not that I would have enjoyed that with my mom. But, I when I don't have to watch the Steelers game or the Cowboys game, I'm going to be watching Red Zone, and it was very. I mean, there was only. Not even 40 points put up, so not a whole lot of red zone action.
Not in that game.
In that game, so I didn't get to see a whole lot. So Najee Harris, stat sheet doesn't look great. How'd he look?
Eye test again?
Eye test.
Looked like a star.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Looked like the Steelers want to make him a star. Looks like he has the talent to be a star. Looks like the offensive line, because if you looked at the first half is where he looked, not he, but as a run game, they looked bad. The second half, the production actually went up.
Okay.
And looked better.
Yeah, I think he only had like 7 yards in the first half.
Correct. And he finished with something like 42.
What about catches? Was he catching anything?
He had 3 thrown to him. He only received 1, but the 2 that he didn't catch were like
Okay.
If he made the reception, they would have been highlight reel catches.
Gotcha.
So they were Ben's fault. They weren't his fault on those 2. Once again, he was on the field 100%. They didn't use him as a running back at all. He literally was on the field 100% snaps yesterday. So you can imagine what their thought process is with them.
Right.
You're getting the ball. You're touching it. The catch with them is the offensive line went from something I thought was going to be horrible, and I didn't see any potential to it, to something that I think by week 8, I don't think they're going to have a great offensive line, but I think they're going to have a good offensive line.
Okay.
Because I saw gelling, I saw these young guys actually not be as bad as I expected. The catch was they were good for passing. The running, they still have to kind of figure out the opening, the holes.
On the other side of the ball, you talked about Watt, but what about the new addition in Dupree's spot?
Over there, Melvin Ingram's a beast, dude.
Is he?
Oh my God.
Okay.
Between him and Hightower, or Highsmith?
Highsmith, right? That's
Highsmith. Between the 2 of them, dude, we have 3 guys that I can rotate in. And I am not concerned. Your quarterbacks better watch out, because those guys, all 3 of them, Ingram may have been more. I kept talking about Watt. Ingram may have been more lights out than Watt was.
Okay.
I noticed him multiple times getting in at the quarterback. But then the claim for Ingram is always, this guy is great, but he gets injured.
Right.
So the catch is, does he stay healthy, or what happens? If he stays healthy, though, those 3 guys on the outside. Our line, our front 7 in general, that's scary.
Well, congratulations, Steelers fans. You guys were 6.5-point dogs going into the game, and
in Buffalo and Bills Mafia.
You went into Buffalo. You shut down a good team. You came out with the W. I mean, it doesn't matter how ugly it is. A win's a win.
Steeler football. When you win ugly, it's Steeler football. That's always been Steeler football.
A win's a win, right? Mm-hmm. So you came out
Isn't
week 1.
Isn't that what Tomlin says all the time in his men?
Who do you guys pick week 2?
Why do you have to put me on the spot like that? I'm not even sure.
I thought you would know.
I thought I would know too, but I haven't thought about it. I've been so excited about. I honestly thought we were going to lose this first week.
I've kind of been peeking ahead, which I had a lot more time to peek ahead because my team played Thursday night.
Oh, we played this team, the Vegas Raiders.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. I did hear that. So
here
that should be another win.
Here in Pittsburgh.
That should
you say that, but the Raiders always seem to play us tough.
Yeah, well, your team pretty much through the whole Tomlin era has had they always play up to their competition, but they always play down to their competition too. They let those crappy teams hang around.
The Raiders are staying in this game, actually.
They are. They're hanging around. Okay, so we'll talk about my team now.
Yeah, tell me about those Cowboys since I didn't watch the game with you or anything.
Yeah, so Sean came out with me. We watched the game together. First half was a little distracting because there was a horrible comedy show going on.
Oh, jeez.
Let's hope that never happens again.
Maybe we don't go back to that place.
Yeah, not during
at least on a Thursday night.
On a Thursday night. Listen, it is frustrating that I feel like the Cowboys overall played well enough to win.
Yeah.
And then they just didn't win, you know?
But how can you hold yourself against that?
I mean, I just have to keep going back to the fact that we played the Super Bowl champs. The champs returned all of their starters, plus added more talent to the team. We went.
Did they add more? Giovanni Bernard.
Yeah, they added a couple of pieces, and then on top of that, it was ring ceremony night, and you're in their home. So the fact
they sucked at that. I saw it later on. What they did, they made their players stand inside the hallway while they did the banner drop or whatever they called it. But they didn't even let the players, which all 22 of the players were the starters last year of the Super Bowl winning team, and you won't let them on the field. You make them stand in the hallway coming out. You don't make them out.
I did not see that. I mean, we had the loud, obnoxious comedy show going on.
You think Brady would know how to handle that stuff, right?
You would think he'd be calling the shots.
Of all people, he knows how to handle that stuff.
Yeah. Overall, though, yes, it sucks that we lost. And listen, if Greg the Leg makes an extra point and an easy field goal, we win that game, right?
However, a guy who just and I thought about it after the game because me and you joked around about it, but a guy who literally just had back surgery, how do you put him out there for a 60-plus yard field goal?
Well, he said it after the game in his interview that he's still getting his rhythm back, but the one 36-yard kick he missed, I guess he kicked the laces, so that's actually the holder's problem, not his problem. But either way,
still missed that extra point too.
Well, yeah, I mean, either way, it's small mistakes like that. But then you got the Tom Brady effect, right?
Yeah.
And listen, we both saw the push off. It was a bad push off. It should have been called. I don't care what time of the game. It should have been called. It was called on us against the Rams the previous year, right? With Michael Gallup on the last drive of the game where we were driving down to win the game.
Yeah, but people like the Rams better than you guys.
You mean the Bucks?
No, the Rams last year.
Oh, the Rams.
They like the Rams better.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The home team seems to be getting these calls and not getting these calls when they need to against us. But the other thing is, if you actually watch the film afterwards, I don't know if you remember, but on that last drive, they got in the field goal range. And then Tom Brady threw 3 passes out of bounds.
At the same spot, yeah.
At the same spot. And 2 of those times, there was no receivers in the area. And so there should have been 2 intentional grounding calls there.
Didn't even think about that, yeah.
That was something that was brought to my attention after the fact. And I went back and looked at it. And sure enough, definitely 1, potentially 2 of those should have been intentional grounding calls. That could have been a 50-yard field goal right there.
Right.
Which I'm sure he wouldn't, if he does 1 grounding, he's not going to go do the exact same thing.
Yeah, he would have.
So at least 1 grounding call that makes that field goal a little bit harder. I'm just throwing that out there.
I didn't catch that enough, but yeah, I get.
But overall, I come out with a lot of positives, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Dak.
Your defense created turnovers.
Dak legitimately came out of that game looking like potentially the best quarterback in the National Football League.
Possibly, yeah.
He had the most yards, that's for sure.
But he had a bunch of yards last year. That doesn't necessarily...
he looked good. His interception wasn't his fault. It bounced right off of CeeDee's hands.
Okay, so the same thing goes for Brady. The 2 interceptions that he threw...
The one was his fault. The other one bounced off of hands.
Oh, yes. It was a Hail Mary into the end zone with 17 players.
It was still his fault. He shouldn't have thrown it.
No, the team doesn't call that play, and everybody does it.
You're right. There was something that he did that was his fault. I was trying to think of. Anyways, but yeah.
I'm sure. Guy's been around 22 years.
Right. But yeah, so I mean, overall, I thought Dak looked really well. And while the defense definitely let up some yardage and let up some points, they created turnovers. Whether it was easy or not easy turnovers.
Well, the fumble was good.
The fumble was punched out, and they jumped on it.
The fumble was definitely a good one.
Hey, sometimes it just be about being in the right spot at the right times, and they were in the right spot at the right time.
Waller again. The drop.
So numerous times I was impressed by the defense. I know that you have a counter opinion on the defense, but at the very least, they're not a bottom 3 defense in the NFL anymore. They're at least going to be a top 20 defense in the NFL.
I want to see what they do against a team that's not named the Bucks, but still knows how to throw the ball.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
Well, here's the fun part for me. So I come out of that and I'm like a little frustrated, but positive. There's positives there, right? And then I did my glance ahead that you didn't do, right? And we have to go to LA next week, which by the way, we have to play the Chargers, and that's going to be 90% Cowboys fans because the Chargers already have bad home turnout, and Cowboys have a great
and you were thinking
away
of a beautiful
turnout.
new stadium and everything like that.
So we have the Chargers. I think that we can beat the Chargers. I'm pretty confident in that.
You're dealing with a quarterback that can throw the ball. Once again, this goes back to
we'll see.
I can agree. I think your team was all over the field, and there was a lot of free safeties acting like linebackers.
Linebackers acting like safeties and whatever.
Right, and once again, there was a lot going on there, and it was the Bucks. So I don't want to know really.
Right.
The Bucks are the Bucks. It's Tom Brady. He's gonna throw probably 300 yards on most teams.
And honestly, the biggest problem for our defense last year was the running game.
Yeah.
And they did shut down the Bucks running attack.
Realistically, but did they sell out, and that's why they gave us so many pass yards?
But it's still, at least we know that if they want to, they can shut down the running game.
Correct.
Right? So I'm okay with that.
My question is, once again, when you get a possible passing team like Justin Herbert who can throw the ball, how does it go?
Oh,
How does that?
I get it.
I mean, once again, you have another decent... Actually,
we're going to find out this week.
I would actually say LA's Chargers, their running game, is probably better than the Buccaneers with Austin Eckler and Justin Jackson.
That could look good. But
so
maybe this is not a guaranteed win, but I think they'll win that game, okay?
Yeah.
Then they go back home, and they have Philly, which... I guess it depends on which Philly you think is showing up, but I have that as a W before the season even started.
Right.
And I don't think that Hurts can keep up with the firepower we have on offense. So I'm going to say that's a W. Then we have Carolina. That's a W. The Cowboys are going to be 4-1, 5-1 going into the bye week. Maybe 4-2 at the worst case scenario.
I didn't catch enough about the Carolina Jets game. I saw the score, I saw the numbers, but I didn't catch.
I didn't see anything. Game. I mean, don't get me wrong. Their running back is phenomenal.
Carolina's defense is always good. That's the part that I wonder about.
Yeah, but the Bucs defense is really good, and we whip the ball all over that field. So
I agree, but sometimes different things happen, especially on Thursday night games when you're coming pumped up for a big time showdown. That you're getting blown. Everybody's telling you you're expected to be crushed in the game.
Yeah.
Come on, one of our other YouTube shows, Pat McAfee. How bad did he say bet that line?
The 9.
Did you watch that, his show?
Oh, no, I didn't watch it.
Dude, that was all he talked about. He sent a public apology out on Friday saying he's apologizing for telling people to lose money on that bet.
Well, I told people to lose money on the Chiefs bet, so I guess I can't say anything.
So,
not that my following is anywhere near Pat McAfee's following.
No, he called out FanDuel the next morning saying, well, these son of a bitches just won millions of dollars off of us.
I don't see how the Cowboys go into this week 6 bye week with any less than a 4-2. 5-1, 4-2. So I'm pretty pumped about that, and that's well on the road to winning the division by 4+ games. Okay. So I'm pretty happy about my team. I'm about as happy as you could be with a loss.
Once again, I can agree and I can see where you're going with it.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I kind of expected them to lose that game.
Really, I said it earlier in the show. I think your division is. I think Philly's better than expected. I still think Washington has a good defense. I know what your points were, but I still think Washington has a good defense. Your offense is as a fire show, to be honest with you, or has the potential to be a fire show. I still have many questions about your defense.
I think everybody has many questions about it.
Yep.
Are they at the very least slightly improved? And then if we have a healthy Dak Prescott,
what did you guys finish last year? 32nd or 31st or 30th in defense?
I know we were 32nd for most of the season, but the last 4 or 5 games they played pretty good.
Okay.
I want to say they finished 28th.
Oh, really? Okay. I didn't think you beat the 30 marker, but...
No, they did. I think they snuck in. Now, I guess it depends on what total points or total yards. I think on total yards they were 31st.
Okay.
But total points they ended up in the 28th range. So.
Here's my thing. If your defense ends up in the top 20 of the NFL, you guys are probably a decent playoff contender. I don't think you're a Super Bowl contender.
I mean, I don't know how you can say that.
It's just my opinion. Once again, this is eyesight. This is just thought process and knowing who your competition is. Because I know what Dak said at the end of the game, I'll see you again.
Yeah.
Meaning in the playoffs. And I appreciate that. I really enjoy that crap. That motivates me and pumps me up. And I honestly, I've told you already, I have so much interest in Dak, watching him progress. But the problem I have is, you see the Buccaneers in the playoffs, and I think they're going to... My thought process, if they would have crushed you in that game, doesn't change. That's the worst part of it. You made it competitive, and I still don't think if you played them again in the playoffs that they wouldn't crush you.
Okay, well,
that's my opinion.
Maybe it's the homer in me, but I happen to think that if we played that game again, without the ring ceremony, without all that, I think it's a little different. And give our defense a couple weeks to get used to the new scheme. And Micah Parsons, I mean, the kid's a phenomenal talent, but he missed a couple really easy plays that he should have had 2 or 3 interceptions in that game.
Once again, we're just going off opinions here. Yeah, it's way too early.
It's way too early to call anything.
Too early.
Anything in the NFL. However,
and maybe I just want to disagree with you about your Cowboys.
I personally think that if we stay relatively healthy throughout the year, we're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Once again, I'm interested in my negatives. I'm interested in seeing where this drop thing for CD goes.
Lamar just juked the crap out of somebody.
I'm interested in seeing the drop issue that he had.
I mean, it's one game.
Once again, everything's one game at this point, but it's something worth noting and paying attention to.
Yeah, he didn't have the dropsies last year at all, so I'm not too worried about that.
So there's that. The Zeke doing nothing, basically.
Or the Tony Pollard doing more than Zeke.
More than... barely, but yeah. So,
he looked better than Zeke did. But yeah.
Nonetheless, no running game, basically, is the best way to say it. I thought my running game was bad. Your game was non-existent.
They really didn't even try.
Yeah, when they did, Zeke did nothing. He had 10 carries, and I think he finished
He had 11 carries with 33 yards.
Was it? Okay, so...
right around that Saquon Barkley line, you know?
Pretty much, but Saquon at least is coming from injury.
I mean...
just saying, at least he...
You know what I'm happy about?
What?
Zeke didn't fumble the football. Hey, he had a bad streak last year. He had 8 fumbles last year. That dude needs to hold on to the football.
I will tell you, though, based off watching this week, there was a lot of good running backs out there that had bad weeks week 1. It was not a running week for a lot of running backs.
No.
Really. I'll be honest with you, the best running back this week, to me, in my eyes, was Christian McCaffrey, which is
looked really good.
Which is not surprising. That's not... And it wasn't just running. He did 80 yards rushing, 90 yards receiving. So it wasn't just rushing.
Right.
And it never is with him. That's why he's the best back in my eyes. I didn't catch what Kamara did in that big game. I know he got a touchdown.
I don't think he looked the world off.
I was going to say...
He did have a couple of plays that looked really good. You know what I can tell you after week 1?
Yeah.
Football's back, baby.
Right.
Football's back.
By the way, we're thinking about having a mutual team that we both support. Why don't you guys put some comments and let us know who we should mutually agree on? And it can't be in our divisions.
It's got to be somebody fun, like the Lions.
Give us somebody. We'll make a decision. It may not be your decision, but at least we'll take it into.
And we will mutually cheer for that team.
Yes, that will be the mutual agreement. The show's team. That will be the show's team.
I'm trying. Who would you? I would say the Giants would be my vote. Who would your vote?
You said the Giants?
Or not the Giants.
I was going to say, really? We're going there?
The Lions would be my vote.
That was going to be rough.
Motor City Dan.
That was my original off-the-bat vote. But I wanted to give the fans a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit of scenario.
Give the fans a little love.
That will also be on Instagram and our social media accounts, so you can kind of vote there, too.
Yeah, don't let it be like a powerhouse. Let it be somebody who has some room to go.
Let it have some fun with it. Like, we love Motor City Dan. Cool.
Yeah? Maybe like the Texans or something.
Yeah. You can't win that bet. Your quarterback's not playing. You already voided your own bet.
I might play at some point throughout the year.
No, they already said they're going to bench him unless they trade him, which voids your bet again.
Whatever.
You avoided your own bet.
That's okay. It was a scary bet to take on anyway.
But yeah, give us somebody like that. Give us somebody like a Carolina Panthers, like a
Saints. Saints would be a fun.
Saints would be a fun one, but they've been a powerhouse for the most part until recently.
What about like a Bengal? Oh, that's in your division.
Yeah, that's my division.
Yeah, we could do like
Dolphins.
Dolphins would be a fun team.
Dolphins would be a fun one.
We could tank for Tua. Oh, wait, they already did that.
They did that already. Colts. I think we're stepping on McAfee's feet.
I can't cheer for Carson Wentz. I can't do it. I'm sorry.
Nonetheless, we're throwing it out there. Give us some ideas. Don't make it the Chiefs because that's boring and kind of. Yeah. We'll be expecting Super Bowl rings.
Right. Yeah, we don't need any of that. The show doesn't need a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, and if you want to give us like the Bears.
Ugh.
Once again, that's but maybe we find mutual agreement on Justin Fields.
There's some excitement with
what if they give us Minnesota, the Vikings? That's another blah. That whole division, other than actually, is pretty blah.
The whole division.
All right, so Kids Corner. It's been a while, Hoover. Who do you get? What do you got?
Wow. I have a lot of potential Kids Corner stories.
You were on vacation, so yeah.
I was on vacation and obviously spent more time with my kids than I normally do, right? Every waking minute pretty much with my kids for... I thought you were going to talk yourself out of doing another shot.
Oh, I don't want to do this tar, but...
and I will say that we did have fun. It was a good vacation. It was good to get away for a little bit. I have to say that there was a lot of entertainment. The most entertaining thing, though, was watching Roman become what I would consider a thrill seeker.
Okay.
So we kind of didn't let Livy know what type of ride she was going on. We were just, we're going to go ride the Simpsons ride. And then it turned into kind of crazy ride. And she'd freak out and kind of curl up in a ball. And then Roman was like, oh, this is awesome. So that was a lot of fun. He said his favorite ride was the Astro Orbiter. That was his favorite overall ride.
That's Grayson's favorite overall ride. So
I barely fit in that little can, right? But with all that being said, I think that I would be not doing the show justice if I talked solely about this. Somewhat has to do with kids, but this story is more about the vacation and family oriented.
Okay.
We were literally, we stayed in a nice resort in Florida, right? It was a Holiday Inn Orange Lake or whatever, Orange something. It was right next to Disney, and beautiful resort, pools and all kinds of stuff, right? And we're literally walking into our room. Which, by the way, I lugged my 2 heavy-ass suitcases up 3 flights of stairs just to find out there's a fucking elevator.
I was going to say, there's not an elevator?
There's a fucking elevator. I don't know why I thought that there wouldn't be an elevator. I just thought that was my luck. Great, we're on the 3rd floor.
And you did it anyways.
Literally walking down the hallway to our 3rd floor door, Olivia was telling us, did you know that they have some really big cockroaches in Florida? And Liv has turned into the did you know kid. She's always throwing out facts. Some of the facts that she throws out, I'm not fully confident that they are legitimate facts. Right? I don't know if they're coming from YouTube or where they're coming from. Not legitimate facts. But she says that. And then we go into the room and we drop our luggage and we're just checking the place out. And then I hear Liv scream. Yeah. And I come out, and there's a big-ass cockroach rolling across the floor, right? And it was kind of over by our bags, and I was, lugging those suitcases up. So I was like, it probably, got onto our suitcase and then, hopped off in the room or whatever, right? That's the theory. Because I looked all around the room. There's no more cockroaches, whatever.
To your knowledge.
To my knowledge. And, of course, my wife, and she overreacts to stuff like this, right? So I really went hard on the suitcase theory just so I wouldn't hear about it, right? And I know sometimes she fast forwards to these things. I don't really care, okay? So then, fast forward to 2 nights later, right? We're there for 6 days. Fast forward to 2 nights later, I fall asleep I was watching the History Channel all week. I think that night was American Pickers was on. I just like to just chill out and watch American Pickers. Yeah. I fell asleep then I woke up at 1:30 in the morning. I wear contacts. I got to take out my contacts, brush my teeth, stuff like that. So I get up, I go in the bathroom. Sure enough, another big-ass cockroach just rolling across the wall. And so, like, of course, I'm sitting there like, okay, I didn't make any noises. I didn't make any noises. I grabbed the cockroach. I flushed it down the toilet. And I think to myself, okay, so what would Jesus do? Right? And then I made a sophisticated decision that I was not going to tell anybody about the second cockroach.
Right.
Until
that's a business decision on a dad's perspective.
Until the last day that we're there when we're packing and stuff,
right.
Because I want our suitcases to be checked through. Make sure we're not taking any of these bad boys home with us, right? So I did. I didn't say anything. I went back to bed. I kept it a secret for the remainder of the trip until the last night when everybody's packing. I say, hey guys, let's just take a minute to like really dig through our suitcases and make sure we're not taking any friends home with us, right?
Right.
And my wife just kind of looked at me and I was like, yeah, there's another cockroach. I didn't tell you about it. She's like, you asshole, right? Listen, I'm talking like, if you're listening to this, you can't see, but it was this big of a fucking cockroach.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, it was like Fear Factor style, like big ass cockroach.
So
it just didn't hiss at you. That's
so Livy was right.
Oh, Livy was right, 100%. that fact that she said was right. The other thing, there was a shitload of lizards everywhere, and Roman was trying to catch those things the whole time. He was like, they were too fast for him, but he tried to catch them over and over again. So that's
those little Geico lizards.
That's my kid's corner.
So mine's a little rough because I've been, and you know this, been sick for roughly like 2 weeks now.
Yes, you have.
With multiple worries, concerns, things like that. So I haven't really been feeling up and going and motivated the last few weeks.
Which, I mean, between that and me being on vacation is why we didn't have a show. We had a bye week last week, right?
Right. Yeah. But that being said, just the lack of motivation part, the lack of go,
right,
didn't allow me to be around my family as much. Well, like I was around them, but not.
You weren't in the mode.
I wasn't in the moment. I wasn't in the go factor. That being said, recently, since feeling better the last few days, I've had the epiphany of, okay, so on Saturday, I went to Brickfest, which is basically Legos.
Okay.
Without saying Legos, because legally they can't say Legos.
I was wondering what the hell Brickfest was.
It's Brickfest Convention. So it was a convention at the Monroeville Convention Center.
Okay.
With Grayson and my mom. And that, good time. We are there watching all the bricks. There is a pole of Legos, like a big, it's circle, but it's probably 10 feet by 10 feet. Grayson runs and dives in.
Are you supposed to dive in?
Yes.
Okay.
That was the point of this pole. However, think about that. You're diving into Legos, not a pole. Legos, little Legos that we all complain about stepping on. And Grayson's doing snow angels in them.
Those little bastards hurt when you step on them, man. Holy cow.
Can you imagine jumping and laying in them?
I don't know. I think, like, if it's, like, they can move, right? Like, the whole point of you stepping on them is, like, your foot traps it against the ground and it digs in. I can see that almost being, like, a ball pit style thing. I don't know about that, but I'd be more concerned about the cesspool that you'd be diving into, because I'm assuming all these kids are diving into that thing. Which, again, I mean, with all the germs and COVID and all that crap, that would be my concern. But it's cool that he has no fears. He just dove right in.
No, he dove right in there. It was doing snow angels, things like that. We left there. I came home. Ollie goes for a 5-mile walk with me. Routine, getting back into good shape.
Assuming
sure. He
didn't actually walk.
If I made him walk 5 miles, that I would still be walking right now. Or I would have been carrying him. Yeah. One or the other. So, nonetheless, I got a little bit of family time as I've been recouping the last few days and getting back into pretty good shape. And just enjoying my time. Like I said, I don't have much just because of what's been going on recently. But I've just been enjoying life and enjoying being around my kids and trying to get some time one-on-one. Like today, Grayson, who's not necessarily a walker, I got out and he went for a 2-mile walk with me. And we just had a conversation about school and things like that. Like he is going through Keller Week and tomorrow's purple. He has no purple shirts.
So I thought we'd be getting a kindergarten story.
Not yet. Nothing super great. Like today they did the fire drill. He said it was great. The teachers messaged us saying, "Oh, the kindergarten class was exceptional this year." Okay. So really, no, they're just not a lot going on. Like he started t-ball. His coach this year was absolutely great. To be honest with you, unlike what I thought last year, where I thought the coach was kind of This coach actually had good drills and actually knew what he was coaching. And instead of just coaching hitting and running and having fun, he was coaching actually defense. Catching the ball, throwing the ball.
Nice.
Where to throw the ball.
Is that because they're a year older now, or is
No,
that
it's still the same age group.
Okay.
He was teaching them how to run the bases properly, first, second, third. And he was teaching them which base. So when they would run the first, you have to scream out first. When you're running the second, you have to scream out second. So you're starting to gradually learn, where am I running? What is this base? Versus just keep running around in circles.
Run in circles.
Touch every one of those bases in this order without knowing what they are.
That's good. So they're kind of learning a little bit better.
Yeah, he did absolutely no hitting. Not one bit of bat work at all, which was great. Appreciated it.
I could tell you about the fact that I had a 4-3 lead in soccer on Saturday until I gave some of our stars a little rest. Literally, like, the quickest 3 goals I've ever seen in my life get scored on my team. And we lose the game right at the end. That was awesome. So.
Well, I guess that's it for the show.
I'm glad you're feeling better, buddy.
Thanks, bud.
We're back and ready to go. Later this week.
Doing this?
We are. We're going to do this. Later this week, Sean's going to give his fantasy. I'm still confused with what this fantasy pick is. You're just going to choose the guy that should be in your lineup for this week.
The start of the week.
The start of the week. So it's not going to be like a guaranteed household name start.
No. I'm not going to give you a Patrick Mahomes or a...
You're going to give me a guy on my bench that should go in my lineup.
I'm going to give you a guy that's not your top of the brain guy, somebody who should be in the lineup.
Okay. All right, and then I'm going to, because I'm the degenerate gambler of the two of us, I'm going to do the pick of the week. My first week's pick, I'm 0-1. My first week pick lost by 1.5 points.
We do not advise you to spend money on this.
I 1,000% tell you to spend money on this. Spend your damn money. Bet football. It makes it way more fun.
We are at no fault if
just
you
don't
lose
bet your rent money and stuff. Bet your fun money.
Once again, I'm just going to say
bet your casino money.
Do not blame us if you lose money. He already lost money on this.
I lose money all the time, but I also win some money too. So it goes both ways, right?
And remember that when you bet.
Stillhouse Black Oil Whiskey.
Oh, can I just throw it over my shoulder?
No.
Oh, damn.
I don't taste the black licorice. I really don't. Deuces, everybody.
Peace.